Yeah, the stream link.
They have, that's great opportunity. I mean, like, just like your 7-Eleven stores, just like, they just kind of store, you just go to buy.
Really? Oh, that's what's up. I haven't made it out to the West Coast yet. Yeah. I've been to Colorado. I haven't been to like, but I've heard that stories. I've been to Las Vegas, and I know that have the same energy.
Yeah.
Dispensaries on every corner. Yeah. It was cool. It was an experience, to say the least.
All right.
It's different going from like a and then you kind of realize
Just want to double check. If folks can hear us in the Zoom chat, if you could give us a thumbs up. If you can hear us in the Zoom, give us a thumbs up in the chat. That'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, we'll be getting started. I also sent a link to our YouTube live. So Zoom will time out for about 40 minutes. So there's also an alternative method to continue viewing us and what we'll be doing and discussing. So yes. Make sure our audio, audio looks like it's coming through. Haven't seen you say anything in the chat, but we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Tap through for slideshow.
Yep, and it's just gonna be tapping that right button.
So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming through. We have people here. We have people on the Zoom chat. If we have any problems with the Zoom chat, guys, just like give us a flag, wave your hand, or shoot me a text. My phone will buzz.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my name is Jalen Madden.
My name is Victor Allen Weeks.
And we're the founders of 4420. And so I just like to start everything off with a story, right? Like everything, like understand where we came from. So I met Victor Allen my first year of college, literally the day before the first year of college. And we immediately created a bond. I found my best friend, somebody I can feel like I can grow stuff with, like actually literally and figuratively as well. We became men together. And over the time after we graduated, we tried to figure out something that we could do as brothers that can also like propel us financially and our longevity for like our families and stuff like that. And I was blessed with an opportunity to have land, and we decided let's purpose this land, and we founded a farm, and that's how we sparked the 4420. It was actually on April 20th of 2020, and that's kind of how we came up with the name 4420. We're also from Atlanta as well.
Of course. Tyler, could you advance the slide, please? Awesome. Can I see the things in the chat? I'm gonna check those real quick.
Folks in the chat are saying thumbs up. Y'all can hear us. Fantastic. That's what we love to hear.
All right.
So I wore the same shirt on purpose, so y'all can see the progression. I don't have long hair anymore. I don't have braces anymore. So we've been doing this for a couple of years, just trying to solidify everything and go through the works and the process of all the small details.
And my hair is even longer. And just to add to that story component, just being able to find your family, being able to find the company folks in the college collegiate space, we're able to combine our affinities in the things that we were able to specialize in. So I've actually been involved in agriculture for about 10 years now, and just environmental conservation and stewardship. I waved my teacher over there to James Tyler. He introduced me to conservation, specifically on the west side of Atlanta, and that's how I gained a passion for just taking care of the land, being a land steward. When Jalen, we connected, we met. His family has been stewarding land in North Carolina, so it just made sense for us to combine our affinities and our passions for Black land ownership, cultural preservation, and agricultural independence, especially in a space where so many things are industrialized and we don't have autonomy over what's created for the sake of our well-being and our own health care.
Yeah, and also just so y'all know my background as well. I'm in anesthesia. I focused on holistic care as well, so which is one of the reasons how we got into this field. We both went to Davidson College, and now I'm currently at Emory finishing off my degree. Awesome. And just so y'all can see the trajectory of how we've, from the beginning of us founding our organization to where we are now. So we founded, like I said, in April 20th of 2020. We established our Georgia and North Carolina LLC, as you can see. And keep in mind, like, every box is getting bigger and bigger. I just like to say that because we're accomplishing more things as we go along the road. We were in 2021, we were representatives in the Southern Hemp Expo. We had our first farming season. We have our North Carolina Industrial Hemp License, and we also solidified our farm management certification in North Carolina, as well as our processing license. In 2022, we were USDA hemp license approved, we attended industrial hemp summit, and also were speakers there as well. We had our first event of the 420 taste testing, which some people online were able to be a part of, which is really cool to see come full circle. We actually had it in this room. We had different like tinctures, the glycerin that we talked about over there. We have different alcoholic infusions as well, and coffee that we were just testing out and getting feedback from our friends and family that came through.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also, we're currently having our second farming season. We're going underway with that as we speak, and our trademark was officially submitted. And we're also a part of the Boswell Farms 420 planning party.
Awesome. Yeah, so we were guest speakers at the Boswell Farms 420 planning party. And those were actually Black farmers that we met at the Industrial Hemp Summit, which we got to attend and be representatives of. It's really interesting to think about when it comes to statistics. We were the only Black young farmers, like when it comes to the cannabis space, the hemp space, cultivators, the folks actually farming there. We were the youngest folks by 15 years. And so just having that foot in the game as it's not even maturing, but still in its infancy stage, we think is really pivotal for our trajectory. Advance the slide. So I'd like to talk a little bit more, y'all, about the plant cannabis sativa. So you may know or have an awareness of this plant when it comes to a psychoactive component, THC, as used as a recreational drug or stimulant or whatnot, but there's so much more to this plant, and at 420, we're looking to dive deeper into what this plant can do for us holistically, not just in terms of recreational, but medicinal aspects and industrial aspects. So we have the fiber, we have flower, and we have the grain. These are the main three components that cannabis sativa produces. The flower is what produces the cannabinoids that work with the endocannabinoid system in our bodies. We all have them. They help us regulate homeostasis and other metabolization of things in our bodies. And the flower also produces terpenes. These are aromatic compounds, such as like when you smell a mango, when you smell an orange, when you smell a banana, when you smell rosemary, they all produce terpenes. These either keep pests away or attract pollinators. And terpenes also have more medicinal effect in our bodies, but we're at the infancy stage, so a lot more is being discovered. We want to talk about the fiber. The fiber of the plant is the structural component, so the stalk, the branches. So fiber has been used in industrial purposes now for making rope, to making textiles, to making building composites as an insulation material, to making cars. There are folks working on projects day in, day out, adjusting the building code so hemp can be something that's more integrated into our society. As of right now, formaldehyde is in 90% of the construction materials that are used to build structures. And when you are building a society based on chemical and off gases, that doesn't make for a good society. So we want to be able to disrupt what that looks like and bring in a more environmentally conscious, again, as we are from the earth, therefore we should be for the earth. We want to do our best effort to disrupt these systems and just give back and give wellness to our communities. And then the grain, these are the seeds. So cannabis produce seeds, and they can have anywhere between 25 to 35% crude protein, which is really a good amount of crude protein when it comes to feed for livestock. Go ahead, question?
Nothing right here. Can we ask a question? Should we wait to the end?
Yeah, let's just wait to the end, and if you can write them down, I'll have a sheet of paper over there if you want to jot down your questions.
That'd be appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, and then with the grain as well, it's a great source of omega-3s, 6s, and 9s. So, yeah, you can take that 5.
Cool. So, like I said before, I guess 7-hour one-on-one discussions, we're a genetics company. We're trying to find something that is our golden strength. So, just to hit our targets, we're high-quality cannabis production, create internationally certified seed, and create industrial hemp use models. We want to create something that we can give to people that we know that isn't toxic. We want to create quality. We want to create something that you can enjoy. It's something that is very specific to 40420.
Absolutely. So right now, when it comes to industrial hemp producing for medical standards, you can go to a gas station, purchase some CBD or purchase hemp, And the baseline document that you would have to receive is the COA, which is the certificate of analysis. We want to take a deeper dive and make sure that there are no pesticides, heavy metals, mycotoxins, or fungus or molds that are in the flowers to set the standard of the baseline for what quality is being on the market. Creating an internationally certified seed, like we want to definitely start with our roots, start with our community, but why limit ourselves into the areas we can tap into? Like let's go global. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Create industrial hemp use models. We have some hemp use models, industrial hemp use models over there that composites that we built from fiber from the plants that we've harvested from our first growing season. We're just looking to expand and see what partnerships can be had to develop that and really, again, disrupt what is currently available. So when we talk about a genetic strategy, thinking about what the timeline that it takes to produce a viable seed that has 80 to 90% germination rate minimum, and also just a standard around its potency production, that's going to take around 5 to 7 years. But once we can fine tune and resolve to get to that golden leaf, then we'll be able to have our 404 signature, our 40420 stamp, and we're really looking forward to the long game outlook of this. Agricultural work, genetics work, it's not something that's easy. It doesn't come easy. It's going to take time, but we have the know-how, we have the resources, and we have the community that allows us to support us on making this reality.
Cool. So let's talk about our revenue strategies. So of course, like the basic, like we event sales, like our 40420 tasting event, making money that way. We have purchase contracts working with dispensaries and distributors throughout Georgia and North Carolina. We've been contacted by a few already, given that it's only our second harvest. And we have operation experiences. Victor, I will speak more on this too, but just give you a little taste test. We have a farm in North Carolina. Say if you want to come and get the experience and see our recipes, see how we do things. It's like you'll be able to come stay at our facility, learn our process, and be a part of the 40420 experience. And we'll be selling that as well. There's actually going to be people come to me saying, like, I want to see what the farm is like, how everything unfolds. And this is one of the ways that we can receive revenue as well. And authorized distribution, which is
Most definitely. So I want to talk a little bit more about the operation experiences. So there are folks that want to learn more about what it is like to be a cannabis producer. What is the paperwork like? What are the ins and outs of making relationships happen? We want to be able to create that space. So folks who want to come for a day, 3 day, maybe even a week-long experience, they can pay a fee and be a part of the business and learn the ins and outs of what it means to manage this type of space. So we want to be able to market and provide our skill sets and our knowledge for sure, but understand that we can earn something off of that as well and not just leave that on the table. We want to have experiences where they can be educational, like working with academic institutions. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well, but we know that there's a market opportunity for us to scale horizontally and not just vertically as well. So when it comes to the market analysis, we were a part of the 2021 USDA Industrial Hemp Survey. And I just want to mention that we were one of 6 Black farms, industrial hemp farms of 2021. We were one of 11 industrial hemp producers between the ages of 25 and 34. So while the numbers seem small, these numbers matter because we help set a precedent and establish what this industry can be. Our input and our outputs help generate the data that not only the United States, but the world can see. And so when it comes to the industrial hemp, what the market analysis looks like, you can see North Carolina produced about 1,000 pounds per acre, $47 per pound. Georgia is producing about 190 pounds per acre, $45 per pound. And it was U.S. average as well. But it's interesting enough that what the survey data says and what actual dispensaries are saying, because we took a few field trips, went to some dispensaries, and asked, hey, how much are you paying for quality flower, industrial flower? And they're paying anywhere between $400 to $800 per pound. So while the survey says this, there are entities out there who are looking for quality product that are willing to pay 10 times more than what the average price per pound was for North Carolina. And then as we transition into medical cannabis, that market opportunity increases.
I just want to talk about different aspects of it too, right? So you have outdoor grow, you have indoor grow, you have greenhouse grow. 40420 takes advantage of all components of this growing season. So I talked about getting ahead of the curve, and watching like trends and stuff like that. We're creating the foundation for when we are coming to medical cannabis that we'll have everything laid out, and all it is just changing the recipe, just a tweak. And so as you can see, price per pound for outdoor grow is about $4.50 per pound, greenhouse $8.50 per pound, and indoor is $1,200 per pound. Victor Allen, how many pounds do you expect from one?
Well, one plant typically in general, the good conditions can produce anywhere from 450 to 700 grams per plant, and that's about 1.5 to 2 pounds on average. Yeah, so when you think about making sure that one, we have different spaces, so indoor you can cultivate the space and adjust the pH and all the different things that the plant needs to have its optimal growth. Have a greenhouse, we can maximize lighting, and versus just even having outdoor crop. When we take advantage of all three of these, we increase what our market opportunity is. And if the average is about 1,000 pounds per acre outdoor, you multiply that by $1,200 per pound. I think that's a lot of money.
And then also keep in mind, like when we started, we started off with 400 plants. That's where our base is, and so now we're just going from there. Understand the plants, understand how they grow, what the climate's like, the conditions, the soil, and everything that goes into it. Next slide. And this is my favorite part. I love trends. I love to see how the world works and how migration kind of works within this industry. So as you can see, the West Coast has everything on lock. Like we already know that. We talk about it all the time, being in the Southeast. But if you look at everything, we're in the southern region. As you can see, Georgia is a blank space right now. Or you see Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina, Virginia. All of these southeastern heavy hitters or conservative policymakers are surrounding Georgia right now. So in order for us to like take advantage of the curve, is let's do what we're talking about. Have the foundation, have the license, have all the infrastructure needed so that when Georgia does go green, that we're ready for it. And that's pretty much what we're doing. And I just also talk about, because I am in healthcare, I like to talk about the health aspects of this product. It's a natural analgesic, which is basically pain properties. And I'll help with anxiety, helps with different patients who deals with pain as it pertains to cancer patients, multiple sclerosis, autism, sickle cell, AIDS, and even the PTSD, like things that we talk about in our everyday lives when it comes to cannabis. Just emphasize it again. We have abilities, we have infrastructure, we need to follow this trend. Another, go to the next slide. And this is also just on the concept of trends. We just want to highlight the indoor space. Greenhouse is $250 per pound, $6,000 on the US average for industrial hemp. For indoor grow, and outdoor is just round out to $16,000 for the US average for outdoor. This is just another way, same basically what we talked about earlier, just trends, getting ahead of the market, and knowing how our society is shifting politically as well.
So when we talk about our current capabilities and projections, we currently have 0.15 acres prepared, but we have 52 acres available to us for cultivation. And that's a lot of land, that's a lot of opportunity, and we want to be able to move into this strategically. When it comes to indoor space, we have 400 square feet of indoor space available. We order of that just to, again, learn how to fine-tune our recipe. When we talk about the genetics that we have available, we currently have strains that yield between 10 to 15% CBD concentration. And plants, again, yield between 450 to 700 grams per square meter. And then as far as our outputs go, if we'll, again, use a US average for the 2021 hemp report, that's about 1,200 pounds per acre. And for indoor, based on 300 grams per square meter, because sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. So it's good to have a safe, low threshold. So based on 300 grams per square meter, that's about half a pound. 300 grams per square meter, that's about half a pound per square meter of space if we're going indoor.
All right, so just a couple things that we've already done in the past. I hinted at before with twin taste testing. That was just a picture of what we did. We also have our Instagram and we have a YouTube channel. Also, just some of our outlets. We have the exclusive content, like we all know Patreon, like the concept of Patreon, where you pay for a subscription to get access to different information. So that'll be a form of how we're going to be distributing our recipes and how we communicate with our community. We have free and paid education experiences, like I talked about. Social media outlets to build a digital community, and we have quarterly events. 4/4/20 taste testing was our first event, and we'll be keeping tuned for our next one.
Most definitely. When it comes to tap on the free and paid educational experiences, so the paid educational experiences, for instance, if farmers want to come and visit our farm, or just general information, want to come and spend a day, 3 days, or even a week long on the farm, learning our process, learning how it works. Educational experiences. So Davidson College, we're also part of the Bonner Scholars Program. And as Bonner Scholars, you commit 280 hours of community service per academic year. So our former Bonner leader, Kristen, she said that she was interested in having students come to work with us on our farm to emphasize the importance of agricultural education and what it means to have that food sovereignty, that agricultural sovereignty. Additionally, we've had conversations with Piedmont Community College, which is the community college for Caswell and Emerson County. So they have an agribusiness certificate program, and after speaking with the registrar and other leadership, they expressed enthusiasm in having a relationship with an agriculture producer to have more opportunities. So we'll be able to provide work study opportunities, just educational opportunities for students in Caswell County to create a possible revenue and an avenue for economic mobility, especially with Caswell County being one of the poorest counties in North Carolina and the United States as well. And I'm gonna go back actually. I want to highlight that we were featured on Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast twice, and that's a podcast based in Pennsylvania, but it's broadcasted nationally and internationally. And we're going to continue to have follow-up conversations. So our name is getting out there, and there's more of an awareness of who and what we do. So we're excited to, we can flex on this. That's dope. All right, so when it comes to our philosophy of investing, and I'm going to read this because it packs the punch. So to us, investing is deeper than providing capital to an initiative. Investing to us can mean providing hindsight, insight, and foresight based on your professional experiences. Investing can mean providing a skill or talent that you require in life to enhance our business. It can mean mentorship or bringing in additional support from your circles. To us, investing means joining us at the table to game plan around the success so we can accomplish our aspirations as a community and truly as a 4/4/20 family. We understand that investing isn't just financial capital, but really bringing in all our assets and all our resources so we can do this together. If we want to see more equity, education, and environmental stewardship in this space, it's behoove us to work together and collaborate and create the space that we want to see and be a part of.
So what does investing look like? We have 3 tiers. We have a general donor, a black investor, and a gold investor. So for the general investor, you receive access to our farm. You receive product testing. We'll select you to be a part of our testing, like to try it, come into the farm, see what you like, what you don't like, give us your feedback. You get access to exclusive content, how we do our thing and how we grow. And also, we will share part of the stock in the business. For a black investor, all right, we got 10 minutes, so I'm not gonna talk too fast, but I'm gonna make sure you get the information. So a black investor, right? So those who invest $500, that's the threshold, they get access to discounts and also anything that comes to the general donor benefits. 15% discount immediately, and then you also have a 4/4/20 NFT that we will create for you. We follow the trend in NFTs as well. It's lovely. So if you want to become a gold investor, that's a $1,000 donation. You also get the perks of both the general and the black investor, but you also have access to your own plant. 4/4/20 will cultivate a plant for you, allow you to have your own crystal and plant. And we'll take care of it, and then you have what you want with it. We'll stay in contact with you. You come visit the farm like we talked about and just see how we do things. You also, if you say, for example, you want to invest $1,500, right? Or if you don't, say this, okay, let's start with this. Say if you don't want to plant, you can get access to the 15% discount like the black investor. And then also for the extra $500, you get 7% added on to that 15% discount on all 4/4/20 products. So that will last for 3 years. Also keep in mind that if you want to invest $1,500, you can also have your own plan, but then also get that discount on top of that as well. Yeah, time frame. So we're going to, the ability to donate starts from now until the end of our second harvest, which is the end of November. So anybody who donates then will have access to these benefits. Till then, after that, things change and how it looks for donators will change, or investment changes as well.
Most definitely. And just a note, if you all on the Zoom or who are tuning in virtually, y'all can click the most recent link to our YouTube Live and you continue to tap in with us when Zoom expires. Thanks. Next slide. So financial requests look like. For this, rather than pitching and investing pitching, we're seeking $150,000. And this is to set a baseline for operations and so we can have a recipe for what we want to do. So this will cover things like management, labor, machinery, equipment. Also want to be able to, again, when it comes to setting a baseline for quality, testing is something that can add up. So we'll be paying for making sure all our plants have the testing so we can establish that baseline of quality. Additionally on that, we want to be able to invest ourselves, invest for the business. We want to be able to tap into professional communities and consultation. So having memberships with the Southeastern Hemp Association, having consultations from medical cannabis users and medical cannabis guides from not only the United States, but in the UK and other international associations. We want to be able to tap into these communities and these resources. And again, just increase what our trajectory could look like. For our 2023 and 2025 goal, but hopefully, who knows, we may reach it before that date. We would like to achieve gaining $650,000. And again, this is so we can scale up our operations and incorporate this idea of community growth and being able to set a platform and establish a platform and models for this economic opportunity to grow for others who want to be a part of it.
And we just want to say a big thank you to everybody who came out, and everybody who's tapping in online as well. Yeah, thank y'all for coming. This is 4420. We continue to build the family. And the people who came to 4420 taste testing, I love that one. I know y'all are there as well, so thank you as well.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. And donations are accepted via Zelle. You can contact us or Zelle us at 40420HEL@gmail.com. We'll keep this slide up, but again, we want to be able to, let's go ahead and transition over to the YouTube Live so Zoom doesn't cut out on us mid-questions, mid-conversations, and thank y'all for tuning in. So, yeah.
And also, just so that you know, we'll keep in contact with you all throughout the process as well. You'll have monthly updates on what's going on with your investment and what's going on with the farm as well. So,
absolutely, absolutely. And again, just to clarify, make sure y'all heard me up. We got something in the chat, what y'all talking about. Hi, my name is Isha. With a YouTube Live link, let me paste that in just so it's updated for everyone who's joined in a little bit after the initial meet. Copy this link over.
I'll see you later. Get my donation again.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good one.
Donation or investment. Both ways it works out.
I want to make sure.
The 1,000 buys one plant, but one plant sells for, one plant generates a little bit over 1 pound. 1 pound generates about $1,200. But each cent, what was your no.
Join us here before Zoom ends. I spelled Zoom wrong. Thanks. Cool. So,
any questions? Any questions?
So, well, question I had was, right now you have about 400 plants.
Yes, for our first harvest, we have 400 plants, and we're working currently with 10 different strains.
So when was your first round of testing your first line of products?
So we actually had our first harvest, and we did our experiments with our soil, testing soil, seeing how the climate affects the plants itself, our process and our procedure with our recipe for our harvest. And now we're currently in our second harvest, going through the works with that as well. And through the midst of going from our first to second harvest, we were able to like be in contact with different dispensaries, talk to them about what they expect and what they like within their quality of cannabis. And that's kind of how we've managed that transition so far. And our second harvest doesn't end until the end of November, about give or take. That's just because we're in the southeast, climates conditions are a little different as it pertains to grow season.
So when it comes around those first line of products, even after we harvest around the end of November, there's a difference between drying time and then curing time. Drying time is when all the excess moisture leaves the plant. Curing time is when you can get that moisture at a balance throughout the whole plant. So for those who prefer to burn it, then it creates a much smoother burn. The smoke is less harsh, and it preserves the terpenes and the cannabinoids for a much longer period of time. Whereas you would just dry it and then put it out on market. So I would say around the beginning of January at the earliest, but probably around the middle of January, early February to expect some quality products for taste testing.
Given the current climate and landscape that we hear in Georgia, what are your distribution strategies to selling to medical providers, right? Can we sell to people who will need it for medicinal?
We can't do medicinal just yet, just political purposes for North Carolina and Georgia. Keep in mind, like Virginia is right there. They can do medical, and it's interesting too. We do research on it. So Virginia, you're able to grow your own plants, but you're not able to sell your own plants. So it's a political battle. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get big farmers to get ahead of the curve so they can catch up and be able to have that and then give that away. Currently, because we are so close to Virginia and we have like connections with Virginia as well, we are having different conversations with different dispensaries and different.
What's the opportunity here on the ground?
Absolutely.
Well, what is the opportunity?
Opportunity here on the ground is the greenhouse grow. So this will provide us with year-round growing opportunity, or even indoor facility growing, where you can cultivate the space that you want to create and grow year-round. So
you saw that to whom?
So this would be either specific dispensaries. So right now there's been a large pop-up of CBD dispensaries. So they will most likely be the first vendors to get medical cannabis on the ground. As of right now, low THC oil is prescribed for folks for medical reasons, but you have to go through a process to get that card, get that application, and then it will be prescribed to you from your doctor through a pharmacy for low THC oil. But once there is more of a clearance for medical cannabis and it's more widespread, then we project that those dispensaries and those locations that are already established here for CBD to be the prime avenue of getting our product. And that's where our authorized distribution revenue model comes in. We don't want just anybody saying, once we get that golden leaf that we mentioned, we don't want just anybody saying they have 420. We want to be able to say, hey, we have a relationship. This is the paperwork that signifies and demonstrates that they are an authorized 420 dealer. And that's how you would get into the space here.
Question I gave about what you just said. You said that you want to have partners. I'm sorry, not even the partners, but people that are dealing with products. You said this is a type of great work.
Yeah, we want to create a certificate that says, hey, you're part of this 420 family and you are authorized distributor. So not just anybody say, I got that 420, like, no, you don't. You don't have the paperwork, you don't have the seal, you don't have the stamp of approval. And we would have an actual list of the vendors that we're working with. So that is made available to folks who are curious about that.
Would there ever be an issue for third-party vendors that maybe don't have those vendors?
If you are selling 420, you don't have that authorization. We won't allow people to not have that essentially. And then if say like what you're saying is like say if A gave 420 to B and B decided to sell what they want to sell, they will have to have a certain certificate from us, and they will contact us about that. That makes sense. Answer your question.
I have a question. What What about the medical billing aspect of it? So you guys plan on selling to medical providers? Are you going to provide additional services that are related to that particular field?
For sure, for sure. It's just not, now it's just a matter of time, just waiting for that, that aspect to open up for us. Later.
That's what I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we don't talk. Any other questions?
I did, you might have answered this question already, but between your first harvest and your second harvest, I know the second harvest is set to be done towards November, is that correct? Between the first and second harvest, has there been a small group of people based off of, either through, how should I say this? I guess has there been like small intermediate people or classes of people that have garnered interest and want to be a part of a first test group? Or have we already gotten general interest in how people would be interested based off of demographics and numbers in Georgia, North Carolina, and Virginia?
So you're asking, has there been a group of taste testers that we've already had access to? And how will that,
How do you
look
report it?
like demographically later on?
Yeah.
So we actually did have a first, like, 420 taste testing. That was one of the experiences. We also had like different dispensary owners coming to try it. Told us what they do like, what they don't like, what they would like to change, what they would like to keep, stuff like that. And that's just based off of interactions. We are very interesting. We go and talk to any and everybody essentially. We travel all over Georgia, talk to different dispensaries, North Carolina as well. And that's kind of how we got pulled for the first taste testing. The second harvest is going to look a little different. We haven't entirely fleshed that aspect out yet because we want to see what our experiments look like from the first one to see what we would change for the second one. If that makes sense.
And again, what was your question? I just want to repeat it so folks who are viewing it can hear you.
I simply asked if there were, basically if you guys were gathering pools of people that were interested in your project through the 3 different states between Georgia, North Carolina, and Virginia, and whether or not you were reporting that information, you knew who your demographic was.
Gotcha. So the question was if there were, if we were collecting information about the demographics and the folks interested in being specific taste testers in North Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia based on our current interactions. And generally answer that based on our first 420 taste testing. And then with the events that we plan to hold in the future, we'll continue to collect that information. And that's also an important reason why attending these events, being able to have the funding to attend these events is just as important. So if we can have representation at the Southern Hemp Expo, which is not just bringing Southern states together for industrial hemp and cannabis purposes, but companies from Western, Midwest, Northern regions, we are having an access to a much larger community, a much larger pool of people. And actually, this is just some good news. Like just yesterday, we got an email saying that they wanted to have 420 as a guest speaker for the Southern Hemp Expo 2020 this year, which is going to be in the middle of August. So we're getting our foot in the game, and we're having these spaces to present what our business is and what it is that we're doing. Which I see that's a question.
Looking at me right here, so that's great technology. You offer one free on-site inspection to potential investors. That's a great question. I mean,
Definitely.
Yeah,
Sure. Like,
I can use a drip.
Just come check us out.
Yeah,
check us out.
definitely.
Also, because you're not here, you can't see our certificates as well, our license, which is in the folder over here. So that's another aspect. We are a legitimate business. We're not cutting corners or anything like that. And if you want to come check us out, get in contact with us at the email. We'll put the email in here. It's 420 atl@gmail.com.
That's a license. That's like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just so that you can see what you're investing in. For sure.
What products are you initially slated to launch for distribution?
What products are initially slated to launch distribution? Yeah, so like we talked about, we have our fiber grain. For the second harvest, we will be distributing all aspects of the plant. We're not just using the flower itself. We're trying to take a full purpose approach of what we're doing.
I want to say no brainer, because it's going to take time to actually produce viable seeds so we can get our genetics right. So that'll take some time. We got some yeah, so as of this upcoming first season, that'll be primarily just the flour. And if there are purchase contracts for the fiber that we produce, then we'll look into having those relationships open so we can sell y'all the fiber. But we are creating industrial hemp use models with the fiber that we produce. And primarily, just the first thing on the market will be the flour for its cannabinoid and its terpene content and profiles.
You're not gonna be dealing with the THC element, right?
No, so currently for industrial hemp, the standard for it to be considered industrial hemp is that it has 0.3% THC content. So it's essentially no THC or no psychoactive component in the plant as its raw material form.
What about the Delta 9 or the Omega 9?
Okay, personally, the reason we don't do the Delta 9 is Delta 8, sorry, Delta 8. I personally don't like the quality of it. I don't like the way it makes me feel, and I don't want other people to feel the way that it makes me feel. And I am very much on the approach where I talk about quality. We're going to give you something that we want to, so that's just it.
And to dive a little bit deeper into why not Delta 9, Delta 8, why not Delta 10, why not HHCs, because these are processes that involve a lot more chemicals than we personally want to put our hands on. Not to say there may not be a market for them, but again, when it comes into what are going to be the additional residues that are going to be on the product that you're ingesting to yourself, that's just not something we personally want to put our hands on. And yeah, it's fun. Maybe not at all.
I think that's also a good point as well, is that one of the big things I keep talking about is the concept of trends and seeing how everything is moving at the pace that it is. And I think that the Delta 8, personally, I recognize the fact of how lucrative it is for the Southeast, but also we're following the trend. We're seeing how everything is shifting so fast. And so I don't think we personally need that as a forefront currently. And based off what we're already doing.
For sure, because
I know that's going to be multiple questions coming up.
Yeah, Delta 8 is a trend now, and then 2 years later, Delta 9 and medical cannabis is essentially, and we would have gone through the components to make all this machinery that's become obsolete. We could just step into creating or just producing Delta 9, which is the naturally occurring cannabinoid in the plants that we're already growing. We don't have to do any other additional extractions with heavier equipment and machinery or use any chemicals that could have harmful residues for the people who are purchasing our products.
So when you say you have a farm, are you talking about hydroponics or are you talking about farm?
We have a farm.
Okay.
We have, like I said, we have access to 52 acres. We're currently using only a portion of that because it's only 2-man group. Just started. It's our second year of harvest. We're figuring out our recipe so that we get to make the next steps. So we have indoor and outdoor, and we're creating a greenhouse actively. So that's what we're doing.
Second to the next question in the chat.
As a potential donor, is my
Second
question. Since Georgia is a medical CBD state, would you be interested in opening a distillery in the near future, specifically coastal Georgia?
So perhaps I mean dispensary, or maybe distillery in terms of actually getting the CBD isolate out of the plant. And so that's a whole different thing when you isolate the cannabinoid from the plant. So you don't have the aromas, you don't have the terpenes. It's just essentially CBD in its rawest component. As of currently, our outlook isn't to create a distillery, so to speak, to isolate the cannabinoid. But as a dispensary, as of right now, it's not in our outlook to create a specific spot, but to work with people in places that we want to get a foothold in. So if there's a dispensary already there, and it seems like a viable relationship, we're more than happy to have a conversation with those folks to say, how can we collaborate? How can we get 4/4/20's quality product in this space to serve this community for medical CBD use, of course. Definitely. Why not? I should away that market opportunity and got roots in the Southeast, got roots on coastal Georgia. That's his home here. Low country, baby.
As a potential donor, is my donation tax deductible?
Something to talk to the financial advisor.
Talk to your financial advisor.
Yeah, so we're not categorized as a nonprofit 501c3, but that's definitely a question to ask your tax advisor, financial advisor, since it is a donation, possibly. But I can't. Don't take my word as law. Please don't take our word as law on that. So, yeah.
What are you guys classified as? That might be answering.
For sure, we're LLC as a tax classified as a partnership, and we have our LLC both in North Carolina and Georgia. So our name is registered in Georgia. We had to go to North Carolina for hurdles that legislation had in place against young farmers or just farmers in general who may come from a different background. First, just to break it down, there was a $5,000 quota that you had to prove as a farmer so you could even submit your license to grow industrial hemp. And I'm like, yo, Jamie, like, let's just go to North Carolina. So, like, we can submit the application and
Get our processor license.
For free, which in the state of Georgia at that time was $25,000, not $2,500, not $25, $25,000. So we was like, nah, let's just take our business elsewhere to North Carolina and get things established. And when it's the right time to move back to our home state and make some noise, we'll do that. But there are other opportunities for us, so we can capitalize on those.
Yeah. Just so you all know that we do have access to land in Georgia as well. So it isn't just North Carolina where we have the farm actively growing. We're also have stuff going on in Georgia. But we don't have anything that's growing on that farm in Georgia because of what I just said.
And just as an update, Georgia did change their legislation. So the application, they nullified the $5,000 introductory quota. And I will say, I talked to quite a few people. I sent some angry emails or strongly worded emails, well-worded emails, and say, hey, this is proportionately encouraging specific folks and discouraging specific folks. So y'all should rethink that. So now it's just a $50 application fee. You gotta get your FBI fingerprint scans, things, all that stuff. It's a cool little process. But for the processor's license, they reduced that price from $25,000 to $650. So it's much more in reach and much more possible for us. But again, since we're primarily in North Carolina, we're gonna work with what we got and then just game plan for our arrival here. Any more questions? And again, if you want to reach us, you can reach us at 420atl@gmail.com. I'm going to write this in chat. Cool, that's right email put in. So, yeah, are there any other questions?
Great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope y'all learned a lot. And we have products here. Happy to discuss some of the composites that we have created. We can't release all the information. It is confidential. So, like,
Well, one product I can just put it in my tea and it's like a little sweetener.
yeah,
So I
absolutely.
can put it in my water right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
this is the Glycerin is where y'all came from. Right now, I have access to.
And this is vegetable glycerin, organic vegetable glycerin, and this is a low concentration. So 1 milliliter is half a milligram of CBD. But this was just how we could, again, test our recipe. And what we blended was 4 of the strains that we grew last season. So it has its own cannabinoid and terpene profile. It has this taste, this essence to it infused in the glycerin. So, yeah.
But you can have that bottle. That's your bottle.
Pardon?
You can have the bottle. Yeah.
Oh,
That's for you. That's for you.
And then also to mention that glycerin is something that's pet friendly as well. So folks who want to use glycerin to calm their pets down, some pets have anxiety or get nervous at certain times.
Yeah, or analgesic properties, anti-inflammatory properties as well. So I know a couple of my friends' pets who have like different joint pains and different joint inflammations that you can use that. For a little bit
And the typical dose for a pet, it ranges from the size of the pet, but I think if I remember correctly, for like a small dog or cat up to like 20 pounds, you want to give them a max 1 milligram of CBD for like the whole day. So like a couple drops in their water, or a full drop in their water in the day and a full drop in the evening will suffice for it.
Thank y'all for coming.
Keep YouTube live going until we really close out. Yeah, thank y'all. Yeah, thank y'all very much for joining us again virtually. Hope y'all learned a lot. Feel free to email us, ask us any questions, and yeah.
Good presentation.
Thank you very much.
Let's stay in contact. I got to think about ideas.
Sure. Really appreciate it.
Nice meeting you. Yeah, very good job. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Perfect.
So you guys have like a special farm.
Thank y'all for coming. Have a good one.
Yeah, let's to be honest with you.
I finished school in December.
Sponsorship is in the film TV space. There is actually like for like different rules, neighborhoods, municipalities, cities.
You all.
So.
Kind of. A little bit.
So.
I turned into the PowerPoint guy in like the last 5 minutes. So.
Yeah. It's needed, man.
Hi, Chris.
Okay.
First official. Right, but they're gonna be like advertising. I'm pushing the advertising. But the point of getting to is getting an accurate number on how many people actually purchase the product because of that market. That is on that's great. So just that we already have.
That's what's up.
Yes.
So that's a lot of access.
Right, and that's just the tier.
So they look into
Second tier level. Access to the show. Third part basically puts you in the market actually. So the shot actual market. Right. So it's like how you guys said, at the different gold levels, black metal, at a certain level. More people that's interested.
and that actually works very, very well.
So I'm trying to
Charge you for values. What you put in.
We need to talk about it. That's actually
What you charge.
Yeah. I know we talked about the following, the other day about, I'm really glad that you're doing this. Like, this is the first round of testing. And the most important.
It's not you, like, once you turn it into the ground, you have to do that. saving.
The second round test.
Not sack like, but the life.
Right, that's absolutely what it is. Those round people, those are great. Which, but it's not even US. Because relaxing customers are less. You know what I'm saying? Right. If it's just you, that's so those people are all shit on you. So it's the people that don't know you, us, Yeah.
And what time is it now?
7:30.
7:30 on the dot. That's what's up. Thanks for coming to me. Nice to meet you, I'm Jay.
I got to talk to you again.
This one, the OG West Side, like.
Word, okay.
This is the whole, triangle.
Oh, we're still one a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh, no, are y'all, y'all need to.
Oh, word, okay, so you sandbox. Sandbox, that's what's up. Wow, that's what's up. That's cool.
I remember living.
Yeah, actually, I've been playing since
I remember when you used to be shorter than me.
Yeah, I do.
Crazy, right? And it's actually funny, this is one of my sandbox
So,
I am.
I am. Thank y'all for tuning in again.
Yeah. I thought she knew she was coming in here clean. I was like, oh, wait, I'm kind of so weird.